Hello, Mimi.
Hi, Valerie. How are you?
How are you doing today?
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for giving me some of your time. How about we start off with you telling everybody about who you are and how we got connected?
Oh, sure. Well, I am a writer, an author. I've spent the last 15 years as a professional ghostwriter and editor of nonfiction books, primarily in the self help, spirituality, and psychology domain. And I've also blogged for many years, Huffington Post, and now Forbes. I just recently started my own parenting blog called Adventures with Twins. And I have blogged pretty extensively about my experience with egg freezing. So I think you had read some of my articles and reached out to me to talk to me about my experience.
Yeah, you had a very public Huffington Post, 5 or 6 pages, all about your egg freezing experience. How about you tell us a little bit about that, if for anyone that
Sure.
hasn't read it?
Yeah, exactly. So I was 30, I'm trying to remember now, I have to back up. I was 35, 36 at the time that I was working on a book called Fortitude, which is like fortitude with a Y, and it's about women turning 40 and all the issues that we face at that critical juncture. I was co-authoring that with Sarah Brokaw, and she had frozen her eggs a couple of years prior. And when she found out I was single and I really wanted to have kids, she said, "You've just got to freeze your eggs." I had never heard of it. I mean, this was back in 2009, and nobody was talking about it then. So we actually ended up interviewing Dr. Jamie Griffo at NYU, who is one of the world's experts on egg freezing, and getting a bunch of statistics and stuff from him. And I was blown away. I mean, I knew that fertility declines after the age of 35. I was keenly aware of that. I very much wanted to, find a partner and have kids, and I knew that the clock was ticking. However, I did not know how dramatic it is. I mean, he showed these charts, and it's like, it's not you're a little bit less fertile each year, it's an exponential curve.
It's like
And
this.
yeah, it's like,
Goodbye.
and it was terrifying. And he also said, he said, look, you're not getting less fertile every year after 35, you're getting less fertile every month. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've really got to get on this egg freezing thing. But you know what? It took me a year after I had that conversation with Dr. Grippo to actually get around to doing it. It seemed scary and intimidating, and it took me a year to just wrap my head around it, get my finances in order. So I was 37 when I froze my eggs.
Okay.
And I had a very successful result. I got 18 eggs, which is considered good for my age. Certainly not if you were 30, but at 37, it was a good result. And I was really excited to have that kind of insurance policy, is how I
Yeah.
looked at it.
But tell
Uh,
everyone what happened.
yeah, but I had the surprise ending, which is that 6 months after I froze my eggs, I got together with my husband, Kiran, and the love of my life. And it was a total fairy tale. Everything is magical and wonderful. And we fell in love, and I moved to LA. We got married. We started trying to have kids right away. We actually got pregnant and miscarried, and went through all the kind of stress and strain over, fertility treatments, and are we going to do it or aren't we? And I said, you know what, let's just use these frozen eggs. I mean, at this
That's why
point I
you
was,
did it, right?
right? Exactly. And at that point I was almost 40, and I thought, this is what they're there for. Let's use
Exactly.
them. So I arranged to have them shipped down from San Francisco, which is where I had been living at the time I got them frozen, to LA, which is where I'd moved to be with Kiran. And they arrived in LA, and I got a call from my doctor saying that they had all been destroyed. Essentially, my eggs were scrambled. They arrived in LA a complete mess. He said it was very clearly mispacked. It was really like no different than you think about buying eggs at the grocery store, and they're in the little carton, and if they're not put in there carefully, they're going to be cracked. And so that's what happened to my eggs, and it was totally devastating. I was really crushed. I just put so much into that emotionally, financially, and to just find out that wasn't an option anymore was devastating. So it was a freak accident. I would say, that's not something that you should expect to have happen, but it is good to be aware that your eggs are very fragile, and things can go wrong. Things can go wrong in the freezing, the unfreezing, the shipping. Every
Human
step.
error is real.
Exactly. So, and I certainly, if I'd known what a risk I was taking, if they'd really told me, oh, that's a risky thing to ship them, I would have just gone to San Francisco and had it done there. So I was pretty upset about that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hard. So, but you still have a happy ending.
Yes. The long-term story was after multiple rounds of IVF and a lot of stress and a lot of heartache, we had a successful pregnancy, and in fact, I have twins. So it's wonderful. It's great, and they're
I
almost.
love your blog too, by the way. Your adventures are truly adventures. That's for sure. Well, did you ever think that at some point, like, did you ever give up hope that maybe you weren't going to get pregnant?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, absolutely. I think that was a very realistic possibility, and especially after a failed 2 rounds of IVF. I mean, I was looking that straight in the eyes, and having conversations with my husband and my family and friends about the possibility of an egg donor or the possibility of adoption. One thing I never lost faith in was that I was going to be a mom. I knew with all my heart that I was going to be a mother. That is, part of my destiny in life, and nothing was going to stop me from that. It just was a question of how it was going to happen.
Right.
And I always tell people that when they start that journey, is you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how things are going to turn out. But if you want to be a mom, you can be a mom. It's wonderful that we live in a time when there are so many possibilities. There are an array of options, and you can get there.
New stuff coming down the pipeline that we don't even know about yet.
Oh my gosh! Well, I was just reading about the new technology about maybe being able to create new eggs from stem cells, so that even if you're 40, you could have like brand new eggs. And I mean, there's just there's all kinds of
cells.
Stuff.
There's PC cells around and that you can grow those in a petri dish and literally be your own egg donor. It's amazing. It's by technology. The company is called Oviscience.
Okay.
And they're working on that. So it's amazing.
I mean, that would obviously be
it would basically change egg freezing for everyone.
It would change everything.
Yeah.
It'd be a changer. Yeah.
Well, and it would also help older women that are close to that 40 age mark be able to be their own egg donor, even if they didn't freeze their own eggs.
Exactly.
Which would be amazing. So yeah, there's some exciting stuff happening in the fertility world, that's for sure. Now it's just about all the regulations and getting it approved.
Yeah, right. Which always takes time. When I froze my eggs, it was still an experimental procedure.
Exactly.
So yeah, and they were still losing 50% of the eggs in the unfreezing process. I think that's
slow freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like only 10% now, or even less, right?
Yeah, it's a numbers game, but vitrification has changed the game for eggs.
Yeah.
By far. Wow. Well, you're very inspirational, and I love your blog and everything you're doing, and just even telling your story so openly is amazing, because, I'm sure that was a rocky journey, and, you've come across the other side, but during the process, it probably didn't feel like it was working out during the process.
But I remain passionate about writing about it and talking about it, because I think it's so important for women to be educated. I mean, my feeling when I started going through the process was, wow, we really aren't talking about this honestly as a culture. We talk about, we have this vague sense of like the clock is ticking, but like people they're not honest about it. And they see celebrities getting pregnant at 50 and they think like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Easy. It's not easy. It's expensive. There's a lot that goes into. There's a lot, and so I just wanted women to be aware of it and to know that this was an option. And in my world, I mean, until that new technology is really approved and developed, I tell people, if you want to have kids, if you want to have your own biological children, and you're kind of on a career path or you haven't met someone, I would freeze your eggs at 30. I wouldn't wait a day past 30, because that is really when you're going to have fabulous results and have...
Yeah, and it's better egg quality.
Yeah, and have, a better insurance policy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't wait till you're 37.
Good advice. That's very good advice. Anything else looking at the past and kind of like speaking to your younger self that you would suggest?
Well, I mean, I think on the plus side is that I think I spent a lot of time stressing about it, and that didn't help.
Right.
The
It
stressing
didn't
about
solve
it,
any
and I
problems.
started, yeah, I started stressing about it when I was like 30, I mean, and it's like, just relax, trust the journey. Um, you're going to get there one way or another. And, I think it's important to feel empowered and be knowledgeable and know what the reality is, and know what options are available to you. But, beyond that, there's a certain degree which you don't have control, and you just need to surrender to, this is my life journey, and things are going to unfold maybe not according to plan.
Yeah, that is really hard to do because I think some of that biological clock is really natural and you can't really predict it or understand why you feel that way. With the biological clock, sometimes you can't really predict how you're going to feel about it. Like it may be just more of a drive than you anticipated, because
Yes.
you really realize that you want children.
Yes.
And when you don't have that parenting partner, it's so difficult to trust that process. But I think you have a really good mentality about it that the journey will unfold as it and lead you to the path. There's like no wrong decisions, right? Like
Yeah,
in the end, you'll get where you need to go.
exactly. Exactly. It's very true.
Yeah, it's hard to do in the process though.
It's hard. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a growth experience.
that's right. It's a
For
growth
better or for
experience.
worse. I mean, I really feel like, okay, well, maybe I wouldn't have chosen to go through all of that.
Yeah.
But, on the other side, I grew so much. I'm just a way more compassionate person. I think I'm a more calm and balanced parent because of it. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that. Well, thank you for giving us some of your time. Your story is just amazing, and we really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Good luck
Okay.
to everyone out there.
Yes. Bye now. Thank
Bye.
you.